When I first found out about Transcendental Meditation, I wasn't looking for something new to add on to my portfolio. In fact, I already had my own meditations and yoga practices going on at that time, which I had incorporated fully into my daily routine. But at the same time, I was having other issues such as lack of focus, concentration, and lack of clarity. And I found out that Transcendental Meditation has helped a lot of people with those specific problems. So I thought, like, why not give it a try, right? And I've been practicing Transcendental Meditation for over 7 months now, and I wanted to make a video sharing my honest opinion and review about this technique. If you are interested in that, stay tuned. Welcome back to this video. My name is Rav and I help people empower themselves. And if you're new to this channel, I provide tools and insights on how we can better our lives to become the best version of ourselves. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, please feel free to do so you can receive new updates every time I release a new video. The first time I heard about Transcendental Meditation was from a passenger of mine, because at that time I was driving for Lyft, and the gentleman who was the passenger in my car was traveling back from Germany to America, and I met him at the airport. So we had like a long ride back home. So we had a long friendly conversation, and we both were talking about meditation because I was sharing with him my own meditation practices, and he told me that he was really into Transcendental Meditation. I started asking him like how it worked and like what is the philosophy behind it. He told me that it is a very simple concept, and all it focuses is on a mantra, and you just like try to repeat the mantra, which doesn't have any meaning or anything. And once you start following that mantra, it just takes you to this blissful state. And when I came back home and started doing more research on Transcendental Meditation, I found out that a lot of famous celebrities, for example, Ellen DeGeneres, Jerry Seinfeld, and David Lynch, they're hugely into Transcendental Meditation. In fact, they have made videos about it. So that definitely grabbed my attention because I'm hugely into modeling success of what other people have been doing. And after a few months had passed, I heard back from the same passenger, the same gentleman, and he told me that he was about to get married, and I also had told him at that time that I'm a wedding photographer, so if he needed any service from me, I would be happy to help him out. And he asked me if I was interested in covering his wedding. We also talked about Transcendental Meditation a couple of times through text, and he told me that his stepfather was going to be at the wedding, who was also a teacher of Transcendental Meditation. The day of the wedding went very, very smoothly, and a lot of guests at the wedding were actually practitioners of Transcendental Meditation. And I also talked to one of the bride's friend who was traveling all the way from Serbia, and she happened to be a Transcendental Meditation teacher too, and she told me more about like how it helps you with like focus and concentration. And I told her that that was the exact problem that I was having. And I also had a very friendly and long conversation with groom's father, who is also a practitioner of Transcendental Meditation here, I think in Virginia, which is not far from where I live. So he told me like how I could get signed up and get started, and he gave me all this instruction. And after the wedding was over, I went to Transcendental Meditation's website, and I tried to look for any TM centers around where I live, which is in Baltimore. And I found out that there was a TM center, in fact, not very far from where I live. One of the sessions was like just open to anybody, and they could just come in to learn more about TM, and if they were interested, they could sign up on the spot. And I went to one of these like orientation kind of programs for TM, and after that, Mike, the instructor, he gave me some dates when I could get started with Transcendental Meditation. But when I looked it up on my calendar, I wasn't able to actually fit in any dates because I was already packed most of the weekends when Transcendental Meditation practices were being offered. And I told Mike about that, and I told him that I wasn't able to participate on those weekends, but the upcoming weekend was actually free for me. So he was kind enough to just fit me into the very next Transcendental Meditation practice schedule, and I just decided to begin the very same weekend. And to give you a brief idea about how the TM sessions work, the first day is usually the most important day of the session, because that is the day when you're giving the mantra, because without the mantra you can't actually practice TM, right? It usually starts with kind of like an invocation process, and that's when you're given the mantra. And before you get into the invocation process, the instructor asks you to bring a couple of things for the invocation, or kind of like a puja ceremony that goes on. And right after it ends, the instructor gives you the mantra and you start meditating right away. And after that, it is followed followed by 3 or 4 days of group sessions where you sit down and talk about how the mantra works and how your mind reacts to the mantra. Also, I found out that the group sessions were very helpful because we all get to share our own experiences, and if we have any questions we can also get that answered. And I also found out that some of the people share like similar experiences, and it's really great to talk about because it's not really easy to put these experiences into word because it's purely like a kinesthetic experience which is happening all inside of your body, right? But at the same time, when you try to hear about other people's experience, it kind of gives you an insight on how you can kind of use this mantra well to incorporate into your daily life. And I also realized right away at the group sessions that my stress level had dropped immensely. And that was actually one of the busiest time of the year for my business because it was like December, trying to wrap up the year and things like that. But at the same time, the meditation made the whole process so effortless and beneficial that I was able to tackle a lot of like stressful situation in a really new and objective way, which I found out like was definitely coming directly through TM. And after the group sessions end, you're pretty much on your own, and it's kind of like a crash course on how your brain reacts to stress and all these different kinds of things, right? And it's highly recommended that you practice TM twice daily, one in the morning time and one in the evening time, and both time it's best to kind of practice this on an empty stomach. Now, I've been practicing this pretty much on my own for 7 months now, and I kind of wanted to go into the pros and cons that I've faced on this because I wanted this review to be a pretty unbiased one, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm not just here to like preach about the benefits of TM, which I found to be very immense, and I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, I also wanted to talk about some drawbacks that you might find from the practice. Now let's talk about the benefits of TM. So the first thing is that it is very much based on the mantra. So there is nothing hard or fast that you have to really focus on, and it is a very forgiving process. For example, in other practices that you have to be pretty much focused on the breath sometimes, right? Sometimes it might be on the sound, or sometimes could be on other things too. But at the same time, in Transcendental Meditation, it kind of asks you to focus on the mantra, which is the whole basis of the meditation. But at the same time, the mantra doesn't have any meaning. And even if you lose the mantra, it's not a big deal. And also, in order to do TM, you don't need any prior experience, to be honest. You know, you don't need to know anything about spirituality or any other meditation practices. You can just go into TM as a complete newbie, not knowing anything about meditation or any kind of like personal development things too, and you could just get started on it, and you will exactly learn how the mind works and everything, like anything like that, because it's a very simplified form of practice. That's what I really loved about it. Another great benefits that I have found from TM is that my own level of self-acceptance and self-love has definitely improved. Prior to that, I had other forms of like meditation practices which was always asking you to focus on a lot of different things, right? For example, I was doing some kind of like Kriya Yoga, which asked you to really focus on your breath and how you can constrict the breath to kind of like produce this almost like a DMT effect on your mind. But you don't reach that kind of level all that time, right? And when you don't reach that kind of level, what happens is you kind of go into this negative spiral filled with frustration. But TM is a very forgiving process. That's what I really loved about it, because you can forget the mantra, you can totally forget about the time, but at the same time it's asking you to kind of accept yourself at any given moment. And like I mentioned before, my level of focus and concentration went way up the roof, and I had a lot of ADHD at that time, although like I wasn't actually properly diagnosed for it. But at the same time, I knew that my mind was just not able to focus on any given task for more than like 5-10 minutes. And once I started doing TM, I feel like my level of focus and concentration just has improved tremendously, and that is part of the reason I'm able to actually sit down in front of camera and make this kind of video. Now let's talk about the drawbacks. One of the biggest drawbacks I found out about Transcendental Meditation is that you have to be there actually on the spot, at least for the first time when you had to learn about the mantra. Otherwise, it's not available online like other meditation practices, right? And this can be a drawback for some people. And normally these sessions were only happening during the weekends time, and like me, I have most of my gigs at the weekends time, right? So if I wasn't able to have like a full weekend off, I probably wouldn't be able to practice transcendental meditation in the first place. So I felt like that was one of the biggest drawbacks. Another thing that might kind of tick people off is the invocation process itself, because the teacher kind of goes through this puja ceremony and he kind of starts chanting this mantra, I think. And for some people that might be a huge turnoff, right? And for me, I feel like it wasn't a big deal because I'm already familiar with those kind of like practices, which all comes from like the ancient Eastern culture. But at the same time, like if you want to practice something properly, you better go and practice it as it's taught in the root, because a lot of things in the modern days have like really diluted. Might be for the good. At the same time, you might be losing some of the essence which might be coming through the olden days. Now a lot of things might seem esoteric, and I totally understand that, but at the same time I feel like rituals can be very powerful, even if it's just like a psychological things. And it definitely worked for me, because the first time when I received the mantra, it just felt like it was a very, very like deep spiritual experience for me, you know. And I felt like an immediate disassociation with my ego at that time, and I was able to see all the situation of my life from a more higher perspective. So that was definitely helpful. Now another thing about TM is it's very counterintuitive. Now a lot of other meditation, they are really set on setting intentions, and the more specific intentions you might have for the practice, the more you might get out of it, right? For example, like some self-love meditations that you might find out there, or some kind of like hypnosis you might find out there, right? I think the better intentions you have on those kind of meditations, the better result you might get. But in transcendental meditation, it is completely opposite, and it's very counterintuitive. The more you let go while practicing TM, the more better and blissful state that you normally get in, at least from my own experience that I can tell you. And now that's all the benefits and that's all the drawbacks that I had and I wanted to share with you guys. But to be honest, if I wanted to be totally honest with you, I feel like TM has also indirectly affected other aspects of my life. For example, my relationship with my friends and family has definitely improved. And also not just that, when I'm out at like social situations, I feel like I'm more at ease, I'm more relaxed. And another thing that I've noticed, which might not be like directly related to TM, but I feel like my financial worth has definitely increased. I think it's because like my decision making in life has definitely improved, and because of that, since I'm a business owner, my business has been kind of like booming because of it, because I'm making decisions from a more rational and a very calm mind now, you know. So it has definitely helped my business in that aspect too. And I feel like that all comes when you're able to shut down your mind and kind of like view things from a more calm, relaxed, as well as an objective point of view, because a lot of times we're just acting out very emotionally. And when you practice TM, I feel like you are very in tune with the emotion, but at the same time you are acting out of very rational perspective, which I found very beneficial in my own daily practice. Now that's completely my experience, and I don't mean to like endorse TM or anything like that, but at the same time I just wanted to share all these like great benefits that I have been experiencing since I started Transcendental Meditation. And I feel like if you are struggling with anything such as like anxiety, depression, or a lack of like focus and concentration, it might be helpful for you. It might not be the initial solution to your problem, but at the same time it might be an additional tool that you could use in order to better your mental health and keep you calm, relaxed all the time. Now with that being said, guys, let's end this video right here. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave it down on the comment section below. And if you have actually practiced TM before, feel free to leave your experience down too, so I can read that. So with that, I want to wish you all the very best, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please feel free to do so right now. Goodbye and namaste.